We're recording, and I'm just going to jump in. So there is a concentric concept here in front of me. The concept at its basis is a house. On the house, a door or doorway is being highlighted. This doorway has two columns coming down either side in front of it, and the doorway itself is appearing as a hourglass. There is the concept of time embedded in this doorway. It feels exciting. It feels like something fun happens here. The scene itself is rather whitewashed. There's not a lot of color, and it appears as a whitewashed sort of painting. So in the concept of the hourglass are the two conical shapes, the upward and downward pointing triangles. This is a symbol often used with me. The idea is to interpenetrate the two conical shapes, and there's a doorway in the middle through which the stream from spirit into physical begins to flow. I use this for dream recall in the morning. I do this for communication with my own guidance system. So all of this is embedded into this overall concentric scheme of concepts. Let's see where this wants to go, where this wants to take us. So I'm just on the porch in front of the door, in front of the doorway, and catching my attention more than the doorway itself, which is right in front of me, is the porch, which is over to the space along my left. And it's a wraparound porch that goes around this house. No one seems to be here. This is just an open space. The sun is setting over this area, perhaps why it is receiving the bulk of my attention, the sun being another portal, another gateway I often use to travel from one space to another space. The energy is changing. The brainwave frequencies are changing. We are going into a highly relaxed state, very indicative to the alpha waves. Mm. We are floating now upon an ocean of light, an ocean of light waves. They are taking us to some degree inside this house with open windows. All the windows in this house are open. There are floors, levels in the house. There are stairs, a stairway, and there is a something coming down the stairway. It resembles in Asian festivals the dragon with the long tail. It is blue, a very particular shade of blue.
What's it doing?
It is not of primary importance. It is adding to, it is stirring or working with the energy of the space, and it's spiraling around me now, enclosing, rather encapsulating me in a spiral, as though tied with a rope from toe to head. And now we are dematerializing from the feet upward through the body. There is now no more weight sensation to our body here. Not quite the sensation of floating, not quite the sensation of levitating, more the sensation of simply being here. So we are moving from an embodied state to more of that of point consciousness at the moment. There is an event horizon. I cannot even say in front of me. It is occupying the same space as me. It is as any event horizon, an arc. And this arc is green.
Are you going into it, towards it?
I am observing the shifts, the energetic spaces that you might call movement between the one field, the one frame on the film strip, through many more frames. There is a world. There is an earth type world. Very blue and very white from this distance. There are additional ideas, additional planetary bodies, not necessarily planetary, but possibly also moon-like, asteroid-like. One having our attention at the moment is rather bald. It is very beige, peach, pink, brown.
Can you go closer to its environment?
I am not attempting any movement on my own. I am attempting to observe the alterations in the frames, to see where it is we are going. There is an idea of a lion-like being, I am attempting to understand the flow of concepts. At first, I am shown its foot, its open paw, and something extending out, somewhat like the tongue of a frog's mouth. It is perceptually behind a village-like scene, buildings, structures, huts, houses, roads, people. It is behind, it is reaching over. It is maybe playing with us. It is maybe saying, I am here, I am behind this, I am responsible for what you are seeing. And it is walking away from us now, but we are following. We are being guided. Over fields,
What you've been shown now.
the journey, over hills, over fields. The walk of this being is changing. At first, he was swaggering, his hips going from side to side, much like a snake. And this idea is still very present in the long dragon flowing entity. And now we are walking more as a lion would. And the pace is picking up.
What are you seeing now?
I am unsure. This is perhaps the idea of a balloon being blown up very largely. We are in a carnival like setting. There is the idea of a clown sitting on a chair, wearing a very white costume with small points of various colors. The balloon is red and sitting from its mouth onto its lap. The sensation of being on the inside of a balloon being blown up is very common to my shifting phenomena. So we are likely still riding the shift and not yet landed where it is we are going, where we are ultimately aimed at.
What can you feel?
Opening the space wherein this balloon is occupied, or occupying is opening, expanding. There is a yellow ring of light before us, a star in the center, floating just in front of me.
What's the star doing now?
We are now in a very breathing like energy, and in a visual representation of this, it is as though being in a Mandelbrot, pulling in and pulling out in an undulating movement like this. The colors change, the space changes, and we are now flowing through what visually appears as a tunnel, spiraling tunnel of green or aquamarine green light. a well has come in. The alligator symbol. It may not be quite OL. The color is different. He's going this way.
Are you going with them?
We are following. Into the water, under the water, and into a movement like this.
Is it helping you shift further in? Another open window, the symbol of the owl, the white owl. It is resting upon the left shoulder of someone. It is maybe a young girl. She is maybe 14 or so years of age. The light in this room is by that of a lantern. A shoe, a very odd looking shoe with extremely long and skinny shoelace. A motor vehicle. I am searching for the name. It is as the first very common motor vehicle. The name escapes me. Can you get its age?
That was not heard.
Can you get the age of the vehicle?
This would be the type car designed at the turn of the century, 1920-ish.
What are you looking at now? Do you know why it's showing you this? What's your attention on now?
We are reestablishing our focus.
Is OL still around?
Not immediately in front of me, but we could look. I am directed to not look, to focus straight ahead. So I seem to have lost the connection to that particular stream. Often it is so far off to one side that my neck begins to hurt. I'm ready to come back. They are discouraging this, but at the same time, they must learn a faster route into where it is we are going to not lose my attention. They know this as much as I know I must work on my feeling of frustration at not knowing, at it not being made clear to me why we are where we are and For what purpose are the symbols being used? This will help set a clear foundation for them at their level and for me at mine. It is agreed all around.
To be honest, I thought it was going to be faster. I thought it was going to get into the your when you got the first house and you got that capsule with the doorway. I thought you're just going to go straight through, straight there, and just be in. No, I thought it was going to be quick. Then when that OL turned up and the beans turned up, I thought I was just taking you straight there. I didn't expect it to divert into a little girl in the car. That kind of shifted off. I actually thought you were going to go quite quick. I thought it was just going to come in there, so did. I was waiting OL coming through there just for a second. Yeah.
My experience from the inside is very different often to what is happening on the outside. And they must learn to help me know why it is they can't leave me in the energy of not knowing. Otherwise in there I'm going, and what is the purpose of this, and why are we here, where is this going? So like I'm in there just saying that, and it's interference to everything that's happening. It's just interference. So they have to learn how to address that more immediately, more directly.
So who's they? Is that just your guidance trying to
My
work
guidance system.
working this out? So everybody's learning then.
Everybody's learning and everybody's working on it from their own point. Yes, including me. I am working on that feeling of frustration, but it's in real time. It's while I'm in there, you know. And if it's just going on to the point where I have no clue, eventually I'm like, I'm just going to stop this. I'm just going to come back. Yeah. So if they want this to go somewhere, this reporting from the out of body state, the potential opening of a channel, they have to be more, they have to figure out how to do it quicker. Yeah. Either how to scoop me out of there and somebody else in quicker, or into the knowing of why these symbols are coming up, for what purpose this is being done. They have to give me something interesting to do in there. Otherwise it's like being somewhere and you have no idea why you're there. There's nothing interesting to you here. Or being somewhere that's just not interesting to you. Give me something interesting to put my attention on. Yeah. Because if it's just drama, if it's just a scene, I'm not interested in that. Yeah. If you make the scene more symbolic, now I'm a little more interesting, like they did the doorway, because now I'm understanding some of the symbols, because I see how they're often used with me to do something in particular. And that helps me know why this is happening, what this is for. But as
My
soon as that,
interpretation of that was you opening up. I thought that was just going to take you into the dimension of consciousness we're going to get into. That's what I thought that was going to lead to, take you into that space and for
the
things to come
idea is to
in.
have no preconceived idea. I mean, I know that it can feel a certain way, but to have no preconceived idea. And or wish or desire either. Just complete opening. And that means opening not just to OL. You know, OL is not necessarily going to come through and speak. And so don't get hooked on things that you're familiar with. Keep opening, you know, to the greater possibility. Yeah. So questions that are closed down, um, that won't help the opening either. Questions that are opening. Where is this going? Why are we here? What are we being shown? These are all wide open. um, yeah, that will. Mhm. Timing on the questions is of course important. If you don't give me enough time to grasp what it is I'm seeing, the speaking will lessen my ability to see because I haven't even quite grasped the symbol yet. And so, you know, give me 30 seconds and then ask. I know it's hard.
I gave you space. You went quite quiet for a while as I left it. And I left it.
Like if I don't
Last.
say something for 30 seconds, yeah, then, you know, so as you were getting into the 20-second mark, you know, this is when you're, you know, feeling around for the question. And by that 30-second mark, be asking the question if I'm not saying anything. But if it's too much quicker, then yeah, it's going to interrupt. I can't quite see, and I'm going to get frustrated because I can't see, and there's a question to answer, and now it's just pending, and I'm sitting here saying nothing, and so there's all that energy in there. Yeah, so timing is rather critical. Too much time, and you know, I can lose what it is I'm seeing if I have begun and not enough. And yeah, so that 30-second mark is usually pretty good. And again, at the 20-second mark, be feeling around for, okay, what am I gonna ask? What are the choices here? You know, look for the one that glows the most, and by that 30-second, be asking it.
Never know how fast you've moved. I don't know if you've stopped there, you've zoomed off someone else, because sometimes you can be so quick. I have no idea.
But just let me.
Just let
Yeah,
you
if
go.
I'm going somewhere, it's because we're done there. Yeah, I'm aimed at where we're going, not necessarily the trip. The trip can be long. And again, if they're not telling me the importance of what each of the segments is for, then again, my frustration level raises. Yeah.
I wonder what the 1920s is, because you've had that twice. And I've got the 1920s car. I was in the 1920s, and you got the 1920s before. That's three
I,
times that's come up for
I
both
see
of us.
nothing important in it. Nothing.
Nothing there.
It's like, let's keep her. It's like they're not taking this seriously enough. That's how I experience it from inside there. Like they're just trying to keep me um, entertained or amused without even knowing how to entertain or amuse me. I mean, it's like there's no importance to that whatsoever. Yeah. And there might be. It's just that they're not showing me what the importance is.
You think they're doing it on purpose for you to work on your frustration? You think they could be
Um,
trying to teach you a lesson about just quite deliberately frustrating you to see how you handled the frustration in the first place?
I
Would be
think
able to
that
do
would
so?
be counterproductive to the purpose of us coming here to do this, to specifically report from the out of body state with the aim of potentially opening a channel. So I think that would be very counterproductive. And I'm going to say my guidance system is not unintelligent. And so, no, that's not what they're attempting to do. They're attempting to learn how to work with who and what we are here, ground level, as Casey. And we've never done this before in this fashion. So it's again a learning experience for them at their point. It's a learning experience for me here at this point. And I think that there are not a lot of people showing the intermediary work between opening to channel and channeling. You know, not a lot of people exemplifying the shift from here to here, you know, from in a physical environment to, quote, out of body in another environment. And so, yeah, we are here to exemplify that movement, that shift, to show everyone what happens in between. And again, for that to happen, they're going to have to help me understand what's happening as it's happening more immediately, more directly. And so, as we do this, we learn that this is what we need to do. And that is what we just learned again. And so, they'll have to. Yeah, figure out a way to get that in me. A really good way to get it in me is as a feeling, you know, a knowing, yeah, and that's not challenging with me. In fact, that's our forte. This other is not so much our forte. So we'll see what happens next time.
It's interesting. That's quite interesting to know that the guidance has to learn different things as well. That's quite interesting in itself. To learn, you think they know what we're doing all the time, but it's interesting to know that everybody has a learning
It
sequence,
has to learn how
regardless.
to do this with and as Casey. And it has never done that before. We are just now doing this in this fashion, in this life for the very first time. We do it
That's
for
cool.
ourselves, going into out of body states and, all of that. But we don't sit in front of a camera and drop into it on a dime and share it with everyone else. So this is new.
That's really interesting, isn't it? If not, but somewhat frustrating for yourself, but interesting nonetheless.
The process is always interesting. Yeah. So even me just seeing that, is interesting for me. I can see that that's what's happening and what needs to happen and what we're doing and all of that. Uh-huh.
It's good. A little frustrating, but that's a good thing to see how it works and the different approaches, how it tries it out. That's good in itself.
Yes. It'll be mostly fun once we get it down, but
Mm.
the getting of it down is also interesting so long as I continue to make observations on my part. Otherwise, there's just frustration, right? And so the more observation we make, the more we understand. Yeah. So I'm doing what I need to and have to do here at my point also. And I'll get on my game. I'll speed up my process. Yeah. And they will on their end as well. Yeah.
So it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all
So
good.
long as there is observation. And observation leads to question. Because that is that communication between the ground level point and our greater point, our ground level self and our greater self is what makes these journeys, these experiences, these channels. Yeah. They are non-different. They are one and the same thing. Yeah, so if I'm not from my point making observation, if I am not from my point having questions and curiosities and interests about this, then nothing's going to happen. Because that answer that comes through, there won't be an answer that comes through if there's no question, no curiosity, no interest. That's the opening through which, replies come. Yeah, then nothing happens. I know that. I teach that.
You have to have the question and the interest. Or it's just a blank.
And I'm in there, I'm drawing it. Why are we here? Yeah. So from that point, we need to be able to access this point as Casey more immediately, more directly. As I'm asking the question, that energy, that knowing has to be coming in co-simultaneously, no block. And I feel I am sitting here in an opening for that. I don't feel I'm closed down to that. I'm here. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to do this. And they are saying, you are, you are, you are. Yes. And so It will happen. It is happening. It's in the process of it happening. Observation, curiosity, questions, interests through that part of the process will help speed up the process.
It's a good lesson folk watching who want to try and do this. Yeah, you can see what happens, how it happens, when what goes on. So
Hmm.
yeah, probably helpful in the long run for others. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was good. I really didn't expect I would be able to get in there. I had so much left brain activity preceding our call. Yeah. Okay, so I will see you back, and I'm sorry I said Wednesday, and we have changed to Thursday.
That's fine.
So I
Wednesday,
will
yeah.
see you back on Thursday at 2 o'clock for our next session.